If you stop, you die.
Now, say goodbye to my girl.
Clear?
After what they did to this guy, he has to keep his adrenaline pumping or he'll be rest in peace. The scene opens with Chev Chelios dropping out of bed, feeling strange. He walks into the living room and spots a CD with the words, F you, written on it. Naturally curious, he puts it into the video player. On the screen appears Ricky Verona, telling him that he injected him with a substance, and that's why he's feeling terrible. In the video, we see Ricky poisoning Chev after knocking him out cold with the help of one of his men. Ricky tells him he has maybe an hour left to live, and this is payback for killing Don Kim. Chev's face twists in rage, then he screams and completely wrecks his TV, smashing it to the floor, kicking it, the works. Once done destroying the poor television, he bolts out of his apartment, races downstairs, jumps across parked cars to reach his own, and even runs over a man who dared to complain. Now he's driving like the transporter, which, by the way, he is, and we get a visual of his heart pounding wildly. While driving, he calls his girlfriend Eve, but it goes to voicemail. Then he calls Dr. Miles' office. A woman answers, saying the doctor isn't in. Chev leaves a message. Chev Chelios is a dead man. Still driving, he starts to fade, vision blurring, heart slowing, body giving out. He slams the accelerator, which jolts him back for a moment. He then calls a drag queen named Kayla, telling him Ricky came to his place last night and basically clapped him. Chev swears he'll get revenge, even if it's the last thing he does, and from the look of him, it might be. He tells Kayla to track Ricky Verona down. Chev then arrives in Orlando's neighborhood. He storms into a club, grabs Orlando, and drags him into the bathroom, pressing a revolver to his face, demanding to know where Ricky is. Orlando's boys barge in with guns drawn, but Orlando still insists he doesn't know Ricky's location. In fact, he's looking for Ricky himself because Ricky cheated him in a deal and still owes him $7,500. Chev is convinced, so he lowers his gun, but starts staggering again as his heart slows. He asks Orlando for sugar. Even while Chev is clearly dying, Orlando asks for his money first. Chev pays him, Orlando tosses him some sugar, and Chev rips it open. The contents spill onto the bathroom floor, but he doesn't care, he snorts and eats it all in desperation. This bizarre act is a matter of life and death. The sugar stabilizes him enough to stand. Chev tells Orlando he's after Ricky because some Chinese guys hired Ricky to clap him, and Orlando immediately connects it to Don Kim. But mid-conversation, Chev's heart rate drops again, the sugar isn't working anymore. He knows what he has to do, kick some ass. Before Orlando can react, Chev head-butts one of his men, then shouts, "Who wants a piece of this?" and charges out of the club, with everyone chasing after him. He dives into his car. Chev drives off, and while he's in the car, Ricky Verona calls. Ricky asks why Chev isn't dead yet and brags about sleeping with Chev's girlfriend. Chev warns that he's coming for him, and also says a certain Carlito will clap Ricky when he finds out what happened. But Ricky claims he and Carlito are friends now. While still on the call, police signal Chev to pull over several times. He ignores them. Another call comes in, this time from Dr. Miles. Chev tells him he's been poisoned and is dying, explaining his symptoms, all while driving inside a shopping mall. The doctor says the only thing keeping him alive right now is adrenaline, and he needs to keep moving to survive. He suspects Chev was injected with the Beijing cocktail, which blocks adrenaline receptors. The bottom line, if Chev stops moving, he dies. The call continues as the cops keep chasing. Chev crashes his car and ends up on an escalator. He scrambles out and starts running. Dr. Miles says he'll be in LA in about an hour and tells Chev to keep moving until then. Outside, Chev spots a taxi, yanks the passenger out GTA style, and jumps in. He tells the driver to go, but his heart starts failing again. He tells the driver to turn the music up. Coincidentally, the song is talking about a cranky, icky heart. Chev nods violently to the beat, then soon tells the driver to pull over. He heads into a supermarket, drags the cashier out, drops him on the floor, and points a gun at him. Chev then rushes around grabbing armfuls of energy drinks. In the middle of this chaos, he still tries calling his girlfriend, voicemail again, but he does grab flowers for her. Surprisingly, the taxi driver is still waiting. Chev tells him to head to Beverly Hills. We cut to Carlito's penthouse, guarded by heavily armed men. Carlito dives into the pool, only to find Chev already in the water. Chev demands an antidote, but Carlito says there is none. It's the same stuff they give horses, and it's a miracle Chev is still alive. Chev asks for help finding Ricky, but Carlito refuses, saying he loves Chev, but maybe this makes up for the Don Kim hit, which was poorly thought out. The heat from Hong Kong after that hit was worse than expected. Carlito keeps smiling through the conversation, but when Chev yells at him, the smile fades. He asks if Chev is disrespecting him. Chev simply gets out of the pool and leaves. Outside, the loyal taxi driver is still there. Though, to be fair, Chev paid him $200 to wait for 3 minutes. But the deal breaker, Chev's soaking wet clothes. The driver refuses to let him in. Chev responds by throwing the guy to the ground and shouting something racist, offensive. People nearby rush to attack Chev, but he drives away in the taxi. On the road, Dr. Miles calls again, saying his flight was delayed, but he'll guide Chev over the phone. He explains that Chev needs to boost the ephedrine levels in his body. Energy drinks won't be enough. He must get to a hospital and inject himself with epinephrine, artificial adrenaline. But he warns Chev not to overdo it. Just a fifth of the syringe will be enough. Chev gets a call from Kayla, who says they just spotted Verona's brother walking into the Prince 2 minutes ago. Chev meets up with Kayla, asks a few quick questions, and heads inside. Verona's brother sees him, pulls a gun, and goes after him, but Chev is hiding outside, waiting. As soon as the brother steps out, Chev hacks his hand clean off. Chev demands to know where Ricky is, but the guy refuses. A fight breaks out. Despite missing a hand, Verona's brother is still trying to shoot with his remaining arm. Kayla jumps in to help, smacking the guy with a stick, but he turns on Kayla. Chev tries shooting, but he's out of bullets. Then he notices the severed hand, still holding the gun. He picks it up, not just the gun but the whole hand, and fires. Technically, the man gets clapped by his own hand, since his own finger pulled the trigger. Call it poetic justice, or self-delivery. Chev takes the guy's phone and calls Ricky. Ricky can't believe Chev is still alive. Chev taunts him, then takes a medallion from the dead man's neck. Ricky gets furious. That medallion was passed down from his grandfather. Chev tells him, "Looks like you'll have to come find me," and hangs up. Chev has completely forgotten what Dr. Miles prescribed earlier. Still, he heads to a hospital and tries to explain it to the pharmacist. She understands but says she can't give it to him. She steps away to make a call, and another guy nearby tells Chev that nasal spray contains epinephrine. Chev grabs several packs and rushes out, emptying them all up his nose. A woman with a police officer spots him and points him out. The cop starts chasing. Chev ducks into a room where an elderly patient lies in bed. Moments later, cops walk in, check the room, and leave, saying it's clear. Chev steps out from a closet wearing a hideous hospital robe and casually walks down the hall, until the cops recognize him. The chase is on again. While running, Chev spots a man being wheeled into the air. He pulls a gun on a doctor, demanding epinephrine. After nearly a minute of frantic searching, the doctor finds it and hands it over. But Chev isn't done. He grabs a defibrillator and tells the doctor to juice him. The doctor complies, blasting Chev with electricity so hard it sends him flying straight into an elevator. The cops rush to follow, but Chev fires at him, forcing them to back off. He throws another man out of the elevator, closes the doors, and injects himself with all the epinephrine. Only then does he remember to ask how much he was supposed to take. Supercharged, Chev bolts out of the hospital at insane speed, running through the streets like a vehicle. Dr. Miles calls, saying they're in the air now and asking if Chev got the epinephrine. Without Chev even answering, the doctor guesses correctly that he took the whole dose, and warns that it could kill him. He even predicts Chev's symptoms perfectly, including being bricked up. Dr. Miles tells Chev, "Been nice knowing you. Imagine hearing that from your own doctor. That's basically a death sentence." But Chev keeps running, stopping only when he sees a crowd gathered in front of a TV. To his shock, the news is about him. He's now a wanted man. And his first move after finding out: steal a bike from a police officer. He doesn't just steal the bike and ride off, he spins it around for flair before taking off. Now he's pulling crazy stunts, riding with his backside exposed to the world. At one point, he stands up on the bike, spreads his arms, and closes his eyes, which is exactly how he crashes into an outdoor restaurant. He blacks out for a few seconds, but his phone rings, waking him. It's his girlfriend Eve, finally. She says she's been sleeping. Chev tells her he's been fatally poisoned and that a psychopath might be on the way to torture her. She reacts as if he just told her the weather report. He says he'll be with her in a flash, and she casually asks him to fry up some waffles. Meanwhile, Ricky is presented with his brother's severed hand. He laughs, then says, "Let's go get the target." Cut to Chev arriving at Eve's apartment, wearing a tracksuit. He tells her they need to leave immediately, but she's more concerned with fixing the microwave. Clearly, she has no idea what's going on. She says she'll only leave if he fixes it, so he does, and while doing so, he feels the epinephrine wearing off. His solution: he sticks his hand inside the waffle iron and burns it. Eve asks to see the burn, but he refuses. She insists, so he snaps at her, then quickly apologizes. They prepare to leave, but Chev spots armed men arriving outside. He urges her to hurry, but she insists on going back to turn off the waffle iron. While she's inside, the gunmen make a call. Eve picks up but hears nothing. Meanwhile, Chev tracks down the caller, smashes his head in, and rushes back just in time. As they step out, Chev notices another gunman. He quickly dumps the contents of Eve's handbag on the floor to distract her, then slips away to silently take the man out. He succeeds, tossing the body into the pool without Eve noticing. They finally leave and head to a Chinese restaurant, where Chev uses his nasal spray. He tells Eve, who has the hiccups, the truth. He's not a video game programmer but a professional hitman. He explains last night's job, where he nearly clapped Don Kim, a mafia boss, but at the last second, decided not to pull the trigger. Instead, he told Don to get out of town and stay hidden for 48 hours. Chev says he quit for her, planning to tell her everything and skip town together that night, but then the mob, the poison, and everything else happened. It all sounds ridiculous to Eve, so she assumes he's making it up to break up with her. She storms off, but he follows. While trying to explain, Chev's heart starts failing again, and he drops to his knees. His solution this time: to clap Eve right there in public. Naturally, she says no. He tries getting pushy, but she slaps him hard, then feels guilty and checks if he's okay. Things unexpectedly get saucy. A crowd gathers around them, watching like it's a live football match. Anyway, he gets a call from Kayla, saying she has Verona. As expected, Chev leaves immediately and heads to the location Kayla provided, Don Kim's shirt factory. On the way, he takes a cab driven by a Haitian driver, who notices Chev isn't looking well. Thinking Chev is an addict, The driver gives him some Haitian stuff, as he calls it. Chev, confused, drinks it. At first, nothing happens, but seconds later, he leans against the window as everything slows down. The cab pulls up at Kim's factory, but Chev is too late, they've already taken Callow. Someone spots him getting out of the cab, but instead of going through the front entrance, Chev climbs onto the roof. He sees a man in a suit and throws him down, then heads inside to where they're holding Kayla. He demands to know where Ricky Verona is, but the man in charge insists Ricky has nothing to do with this. He claims Carlito wants Chev off the streets because he's completely lost his mind, and his recent reckless behavior has embarrassed the organization. The man tells Chev to just go find a quiet place to die and promises they'll deal with Ricky. Of course, Chev doesn't buy it. He starts shooting at everyone in the factory. Then, unexpectedly, Eve appears. Maybe now she'll believe what he's been saying all along. Chev grabs Kayla as a human shield and runs toward the elevator, taking a bullet in the leg on the way. They reach the floor where innocent tailors are working, but one of the gunmen follows. Chev sneaks up behind him and traps his hand inside a sewing machine. More men rush in, firing shots, but Chev and Eve manage to escape through the fire escape, and yes, it's literally escaping fire. He takes down the men chasing him, but more arrive, spraying bullets. Chev manages to get Eve through the chaos, and they drive off. Eve finally admits he wasn't lying when he said he'd give it all up for her. Chev confirms it, but she also realizes the poison is real and he doesn't have much time. Distressed, she asks how it can be stopped. Chev says only adrenaline can slow it down. Determined to keep him alive, Eve stays by his side as they're chased by multiple cars, with gunmen firing at them. Chev fights off more attackers, then gets back into the car and drives off. He stops by a hardware store, tells Eve to stay in the car, and limps inside. But Eve never listens. She follows him and finds him hammering nails into his leg because he can't feel it anymore. Just then, the doctor calls. He's in his office and tells Chev to come over. Chev and Eve head there, and Dr. Miles treats him, but the news isn't good. The doctor says what he's giving Chev will only work temporarily. He can put Chev on life support for a few days, but eventually, he'll slip into a coma. Miles offers to give him something so he can die peacefully, but Chev refuses. He only wants one more hour. And of course, that hour is for one thing, Ricky Verona. Then, Chev gets a call from Chav, offering him a deal. Chav says he wants the antidote, and in return, he'll give back the medallion he took from Chev's brother. Chev agrees, and Jeff gives him a location to meet. It's clear Ricky doesn't mess around when it comes to family. That medallion is obviously important to him. Verona makes a call as he heads to the meeting spot. Meanwhile, Jeff, now suited up, walks through the location in slow motion. He heads into the bathroom, checks the insulin pump Dr. Miles gave him, inspects his gun, wipes his sweat, and walks back out, ready for whatever comes next. Inside an elevator, he downs a handful of pills, far more than just a few. The effects kick in fast, and his mind starts playing tricks on him. He hears his mother's voice, but it's coming from the man beside him in the elevator. The voice shifts into an Asian man speaking a foreign language, then into Orlando's voice, and finally into his own voice, even his own face mocking him. When the hallucinations clear, he realizes the man hasn't spoken a single word during the entire ride. The man exits, and two others grab Chev, taking his gun and leading him to an outdoor area where Carlito and Verona are waiting. Verona orders another pat down, and they rip out Chev's insulin pump. As Carlito slips on his leather gloves, Chev starts messing with Ricky's head, calling him Carlito's little, bitch, lackey. Ricky loses his cool, stands, and points a gun at Chev while Carlito yells for him to sit back down, and he does. Carlito pulls out more of that Chinese stuff from Mackay's, ready to finish Chev. But Chev suddenly starts aiming finger guns at them. Everyone's confused, including me. Ricky thinks Chev has lost it, but then Chev shoots one of the men, and that man drops dead with a bullet to the head. Turns out, Don Kim and his crew have arrived, and it was one of Kim's men who took the shot. A full shootout erupts, bodies dropping everywhere just as the cops surround the place. Ricky grabs a gun, but Chev throws a bottle at him, making him drop it, and the weapon goes off, blowing off Ricky's fingers. Carlito hides, making a call for someone to extract him, but then, a grenade gets thrown into the fight. Carlito shoves one of his men onto it as a human shield and bolts. Ricky tries to flee too, but Chev catches him, until his heart condition kicks in again, blurring his vision. He fires blindly, hitting who knows what. Carlito escapes upstairs into a helicopter. Chev catches up, pointing a gun at him and saying, "Present from Kayla." But before he can pull the trigger, Ricky sneaks up behind and injects him with something, dropping him instantly. Ricky then shoots Carlito and orders the pilot to take off. But Chev's blood starts pumping again. He jumps up and fights Ricky midair inside the chopper. Ricky tries to push him out, but Chev latches onto him instead, and they both fall from the helicopter. On the way down, Chev snaps Ricky's neck midair before letting him drop. Even while plummeting to his own death, Chev pulls out his phone and calls his girlfriend. It goes to voicemail, so he leaves her a heartfelt message, ending with, "You're the greatest, baby." Then he smashes onto a car, bounces off, and hits the ground. That was one hell of a fall, but worth it for that final message to the love of his life. So, moral of the story, Jason Statham.